Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rebecca Fuhr. Today is October 21st, excuse me. There's still plenty of time to get your questions in for today's live chat. Send them to DOC_questions. Remember, I only read your question, never your name, so please keep those questions coming. And as always, if you ever want to go back and rewatch any of these chats, I always post the recording on the front page of DocNet under Executive Director Live Chat. Last month, we announced a new schedule for our live chats. Starting next month, live chats will be rotating every other month to Wednesdays. That means our next chat will be Wednesday, November 12th at 11. So good morning to you, Mr. Stansel. Today's a huge day on our live chat. As you know, we have a few presentations, one from our finance and administrative team, and the other about a new staff survey, plus a new face to our executive team. But first, I'd like to talk about our hiring freeze on the top of everyone's mind. Recently, the department indefinitely suspended several hiring processes very late in the process. Some were even suspended the day of the interviews. With the governor's order coming out approximately 30 days ago, do you consider that action a failure of leadership and a poor display of communication and customer service?
Absolutely not. What I see that is trying to operationalize a decision that was made by our leadership. And DOC is not the only one that had to make some on-the-spot adjustments. So it seems simple looking from the outside. It seems like it's a pretty simple process. However, there's a lot of moving pieces to it. There's so many different, and I won't get into it because there's so much to talk about. There's so many different things that go into the hiring process. We all know the interview process. We all know getting the boards. We all know getting all that. So even though the governor gave a date of when he was going to do what he had to do, a lot of those things were already in process. And as we were working through that, we had to make some adjustments. So no, I don't see it as poor leadership. As a matter of fact, I see it as great leadership, because great leaders have to be flexible. And not everything is going to always be in black and white. So if whoever asked that question, if you want to discuss it further, as always, please feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss further.
All right, thank you so much. First up on our agenda here, we have Deputy Director Mitch Carstens with an audit update. Good morning to you, Mr. Carstens.
Good morning. We just wanted to kind of do a quick update, and we're going to try to do these quarterly during the live chats on where we are with the performance audit. As you all know, last year we did a performance audit in conjunction with the JBC and had those audit findings come out. We had 9 recommendations that it wanted us to work on and 34 sub-recommendations. There are a lot of really diligent, really hardworking individuals across the department that have been working on these recommendations. I am happy to report, as of right now, we have completed 3 of the 9 recommendations. So recommendation 6 was on CCI's budgeting process and changing kind of how we do some accounting inside of there. That one has been completed with the 4 sub-recommendations inside of that. We have also completed recommendation number 8, which was on medical copay fees and evaluating how we do medical copay fees, how those are evaluated and classified. That had 3 sub-recommendations, and that is completed as well. And then we've also just completed recommendation number 9, which was on medical fee setting, also with 5 sub-recommendations inside of there. So we are moving right along. We have 12 of the 34 sub-recommendations done, 3 of the recommendations done. We are also, by the end of next month, we should have 2 more completed, which we're really excited about. The next one will be the canteen accounting and transparency with 4 sub-recommendations and some recruitment. There are a couple of other ones that are still outstanding, obviously, 1 through 5. They are kind of our bigger, more complex ones. So that is how we do our prison caseload, how we do our staffing designs, and funding for those, along with our operational costs. And again, the teams are working extremely hard on there. I want to give a shout out to Suzanne Scott, our budget director, who has been spending countless hours pulling that all together and the teams together and making sure that those are moving in the right direction. We have about another year to finish all of those off, but we are working as fast as we can to get some sub-recommendations done. And then lastly, I'll just add on top of that, we will actually have a hearing with the Joint Budget Committee on Friday, November the 14th. Landra Gonzalez will be sending out when we have that hearing, just like we always do with JBCs as we get closer. But that is to talk to the JBC about where we are at in the audit process. So we'll be giving them lots of updates on where we are at and have them ask questions. But we'll do another update here in a couple of months. So
great, thank you so much. Our Director of Communications and DEIB, Director Alonzo Gonzalez, is here with us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. There have been many high-profile cases in the news recently, with the most recent incident on October 14th of 25. Many of these tragic events could have been avoided if CBOs were able to arrest and revoke parolees on technical violations. Why isn't DOC telling the media that information and standing up for our officers?
Thank you, Rebecca. I am happy to address this question. So our staff are on the front lines of incredibly complex work. We know that and we understand it. However, it's really important for us to be clear about our department's role and our values. The idea that we would be in the media criticizing legislators or law enforcement partners is based on basic misunderstanding of our function as the executive branch agency. Our job is to implement the laws as it's written and not publicly attack it. It's important to note that our comms departments, our role is to provide 100% factual information about our department's actions. Publicly attacking our partners would destroy the very relationships that we need to make sure that we can do our jobs. So that brings us to the next point. And go ahead, Andre.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. This question kind of raise a tone with me because we're always defending staff. And here's, if you haven't experienced any kind of interactions with media, here's how media works. You can sit in a 2-hour-long media interview and they will broadcast 30 seconds of what you said. So just because you don't hear it on the media of us identifying other areas and supporting our staff, is not because we're not doing it. It's because it's not getting broadcasted. So I just wanted to add to that. And just let staff know we're always fighting for staff. And there's only so much control we have in that area. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Andre. I think that brings us to the next point. Our agency is built on integrity and on that value. So every action a staff member takes, if it's documented, you are creating a public record. So that captures both the successes and mistakes that happen within the organization. So when we find these breakdowns in our systems, it's not about blame. It's really about taking accountability as an agency, and that's our responsibility. So we can't hide from those mistakes. It undermines our integrity. We can't demand accountability from everybody else if we're not, willing to take that accountability into our own processes. So as Andre mentioned, we do stand up for our staff by advocating for change through the right channels and taking that feedback directly to stakeholders. What we can't do is compromise our integrity in that process. So again, to Andre's point, we do fight and we do rebuttal when there's misinformation. However, if there are faults in this system, we do have to take accountability and own those mistakes. So a lot of the times what you see is what the media portrays could be a few points that we made and not the entire context. So I welcome any feedback. If you want to have a deeper conversation, please get a hold of me. My information's on the website, and most of you have my cell phone number. I'm happy to take those calls. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. This question just came in for you too. Speaking of the website, the DOC website typically lists annual statistical reports. It appears that the most recent one is posted from 2022. Do you have any more recent reports that can be uploaded?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for using our website. It's full of great resources and for bringing this to our attention. So the chart that's displaying the 22 data, and there's a few that are displaying also 2023 data, those are sourced from outside agencies, specifically FBI Uniform Crime Reporting Statistics. That page is monitored in collaboration with the Office of Planning and Analysis, so OPA for us. And we're just waiting for FBI to release the new 24 crime rate data to update our public-facing website. Once that is updated, we will get that updated on our end. And we're also waiting for, it looks like, PRIA data, which is typically actually released later this year, and it's expected within the next month. So as soon as those reports come out from FBI, then we can update it on our website.
Thank you so much. Let's move over to training. Our Assistant Director of Staff Training and Development is Dave Lindsay. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm super good. Why does the department permit staff hired prior to April 1st, 2021 to only maintain a 16-hour defensive tactics certification? The language in AR 1500-1 appears to be contradictory to the department, is assuming unnecessary risk in the case of the use of force, when the policy also permits appointing authorities the discretion to require the 32-hour or a 4-day course, despite the stated grandfathering clause.
Well, thanks for that question on defensive tactics. And that is correct. It is the department's policy per AR 1500-01 that staff hired prior to April 1st of 2021 who have successfully completed the 16-hour course or the 2-day class can continue to take the 4-hour DT refresher. And then anyone hired after April 1st, 2021 are required to take the 32-hour DT class unless they fall into one of the identified exemptions that's listed in the policy. If they do meet one of the exemptions, then they may complete the 16-hour DT class unless our appointing authority mandates that they take the 32-hour class. So that is what current policy says. However, if staff hired prior to April 1st allow their certification to expire, then they will be required to complete the full 32-hour class unless they fall into one of the exemptions in policy. Now, it is important to note that that's what the policy says, but the department does encourage all staff to continually look for opportunities to continue to learn and grow. And if someone is interested, regardless of whether they were hired before or after April 1st of 2021 to go from the 2-day to the 4-day DT certification, then we would encourage them to work with their supervisor about DT opportunities that are available.
Thank you so much for clearing that up. Let's go over to clinical services. Lenny Woodson, Deputy Director. Here's another point we'd like to clear up. Why was it approved that mental health clinicians no longer issue behavioral health transition forms that are non-confidential for parole board application hearings?
Thank you for the question. So to clarify, the discontinuation of behavioral health transition forms, that is not something actually that's been approved. The process is not ended. This is still an active and required part of our operations. So I appreciate this question being brought up to my attention so we can clear up any confusion. If there are any other questions around this, please reach out to me directly or our Chief of Behavioral Health, Jason Guidry.
Thank you so much. If you'll stay around, I'm sure we'll have questions for you later. Let's move over to prison operations. Mark Fairbairn, the Director. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Why don't facilities revamp schedules to even things out and help eliminate overtime?
So all facility schedules must be balanced to meet the minimum staffing needs for that area. So if whoever wrote this questions fills a schedule in their area, or they're seeing a schedule that's unbalanced or could be adjusted to reduce overtime, I had to suggest reaching out to your appointing authority, to one of the deputies, myself. We review those schedules regularly with our minimum staffing plan to ensure consistency.
Thank you. This staff member writes, our facility has had 6 supervisory staff on administrative leave for almost 9 months at a cost of more than $10,000 per week using base pay rates. In light of the current budget and staffing crisis, what is the plan for relief for all staff who are doing the work in their absence?
So in situations that involve extended leave or complex personnel matters, we do remain committed to exercising due diligence. And that includes gathering all the relevant information, reviewing each circumstance before we move forward. So our priority is to always support staff, return to work as soon as possible, but out of respect for the individual privacy of those people, we're unable to share further details at this time. Please know that these cases are being handled with care and urgency.
So why can't lieutenants and sergeants from support services volunteer for the overtime?
So Support staff are permitted to volunteer for overtime. The problem is that a lot of those areas have varying work hours that often overlap post coverage, so it can be challenging for support staff to volunteer and cover posts. But I do encourage whoever wrote this question or anybody in support services to discuss with their appointing authority opportunities at their specific facility for those opportunities.
Thank you. Human Resources, we're going to go to next. Andrew Ross is Associate Director there. Good morning to you.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Who can we refer to for federal employees in need of assistance? I've had a couple of clinicians from the feds asking who they can reach out to.
It's a great question, Rebecca. So you can actually reach out to our wellness team at doc_wellness at state.co.us for support. So they are currently working on a list of resources for folks. As well, you can also reach out to any of your employee councils across the department, as they are serving as a collection point to gather essential donations for those who are impacted right now by the federal shutdown. So any staff member who is able to help may do so by connecting with any member of your employee council if you want to, gas cards, grocery cards, restaurant gift cards, or a monetary donation.
Thank you for that question and that answer. It's so important to support those people in need at this time. So thank you so much. Can exempt workers apply for temporary positions within a facility?
So exempt employees, unfortunately, are not eligible for temporary positions while they hold a full-time position at the state. So temporary employees are actually classified and compensated by the state under a temporary aid class code, and they are considered temporary appointees per board rule 1-74-1.1. So these temporary appointments are for a period to not exceed 9 months with any 12-month period. A full-time employee would actually need to resign from their current position to qualify for a temporary role within the state system. Similarly, a temporary employee, if selected for a full-time position, would need to resign from their temporary position to begin their full-time employee.
That makes sense. Thank you. When will the department make adjustments to the pay level in positions in administrative related positions?
Thanks, Rebecca. So the Department of Personnel Administration, DPA, provides the state's pay plan. So this outlines the salary minimums and maximums of all classifications. The way that this information is derived is they work with a third-party vendor to do a paid market analysis, which then evaluates the entire state of Colorado and how competitors pay in the same classifications to determine where state salaries will fall. Unfortunately, DPA does not administer salary adjustments to groups of state employees. And right now, the current budget just does not permit any kind of salary adjustments or right sizing of classifications groups for current employees here at DOC. But obviously, when the budget allows, DOC will look at ways to address right sizing of classifications, which will also include the administrative related roles.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's talk about AR 1450-44. There's several questions on this, so I'll ask them all, and I'll see you on the other side. Could you please confirm whether prior approval is necessary from both my supervisor and the appointing authority for continuing any or all education? Number 2, where can I find this prior approval form? And number 3, does the degree pursued need to be aligned with my profession, or can I continue my education in any area of interest?
Thanks, Rebecca. So this is obviously a great, incentive that we offer to staff. So per Administrative Regulation 1450-44, which is the tuition reimbursement, only continuing education units and certificates necessitate prior approval from your appointing authority. This approval can be documented through an email, a memo, or other written correspondence. Any standard tuition reimbursements, however, do not require such pre-approval. In relations to the degree, the courses, it's not mandated to align with an eligible employee's specific occupation or field, but they must ultimately benefit both the employee and the agency. So the tuition reimbursement policy does contain a lot of comprehensive details, and obviously it can be a little confusing, but for specific inquiries, either check with your appointing authority, or you can reach out to the Office of Human Resources at DOC HR_forms to help you.
All right, thank you so much.
You bet.
We're going to go over to adult parole. We're going to talk to our Deputy Executive Director, Melissa Smith, will be answering those questions for you, but we do have a new face on the executive team. Hi, Melissa.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. With having a new, go ahead, were you going to say something? Okay. With parole having a new director, what changes can we look forward to?
I think this is a
Deputy
great
Director,
question.
but okay.
Sorry, I think this is a great question, but first I want to welcome Keto Best as the Deputy Director for the Division of Parole. He's been with us just a short few weeks here, but really, really excited to have him and his many years of experience. But really to answer your question, anytime a new director comes in, there's obviously questions about what changes they might bring. However, what I think we want to reassure you is that any changes or any director, including Deputy Director Best, is going to continue to focus on the division's core focus of relationship building and commitment to safe practice. This includes evidence-based approaches, accurate assessment utilization, and effective case supervision. Over the next few months, the deputy directors, along with the ADs, will conduct office visits to engage directly with your staff. And during this time, they will continue to implement EOMIS, developing skills and ensuring the fidelity of assessments and consistent supervision practices. It's essential to recognize, however, that as our department grows, as we change and evolve, change is what's going to happen. It's inevitable and it will occur. Our approach will evolve, ensuring measured evaluations of assessments and practices, and we will proceed thoughtfully and grounded in data and guided by feedback from the staff. I assure you that any identified changes will be coordinated and will be communicated. But again, in order for us to grow, change is inevitable. Deputy Director Best did give me a little bit of his perspective as well. And he really just wanted to convey what was conveyed during the all hands on meeting a few weeks ago. And that's really that they're going to focus on increasing staff relationships, understand where we are as an organization, and discuss the aspirations for the future. Really going to focus heavily on ensuring those evidence-based practices, as well as really supporting the link to our cultural assessments and just growth within our offices. He is very data-driven and focused on collecting responses and compares it with staff feedback. So I think over these next few months and as we work to bring in our new director, we're going to see that while change is inevitable, that there are many things focused on just trying to help support the parole staff across the board.
Thank you. Here's another parole question for you. Would it be possible for IT to allow our Xerox printer wireless capabilities? With the transition into EOMIS, the intake packets can be done on the iPad, but in order to print, we have to log into our laptops to be able to be on the network to print.
And so the ADs did a lot of work with OIT to best get a response for you. And after consulting with the Office of Information Technology, they learned that this would need to be approved through DPA, so Department of Personnel, to enable this wireless printing. It would have to be turned on for all printers, but the option is currently disabled as part of the state security standards. So what that means is to make this change, it would impact the state as a whole. Network-wise, it would also depend on the availability and strength of the wireless coverage in the areas that you're working in. OIT and the parole ADs are currently looking into this and will continue to work with OIT to address any OMIS changes and challenges. And the AD, as well as Director Best's goals, is to streamline processes, improve efficiency, and make workflow easier, more productive. However, kind of back to the beginning of this, the specific request that was made, it is a larger state issue that would have to be considered.
Thank you so much. We'll see if more parole questions come in. If you have additional questions, please send them to DOC_questions. We'll get those answered for you. Let's jump over to our Business Innovation Group with Director Eddie Cayley. Good morning to you. Good morning, Mr. Cayley.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can now. Thank you. Hi. Now that offender movement information has been removed from DCIS, it is extremely difficult to get a pertinent information for incoming and outgoing movement in one's facility. Is there a tech team attempting to resolve this in EOMIS? And there are many departments within DOC that need the info to track offender property, etc. Is there particular access that we need to view that?
So this is a great question. Since we finally transitioned parole movements into EOMIS, we finally reached a point where some of these screens that really should have been shut down a long time ago, and many no longer have accurate data, are being shut down. I know that EOMIS sorts and manages data differently and presents it differently in EOMIS. But recognizing that all the data is there, we also know that there's always improvements that can be made in the way the information is displayed and accessed and sorted. So for those users who are struggling with the EOMIS move screens, please continue to work through your chain of command and get with us at OPA as well. We've created some tableaus that more closely resemble the formats that you're used to as far as movement data. If there are more improvements that can be made, we're always looking for those recommendations. But work through your leadership and we can get you opened up to those tableaus.
Thank you. Last month, we talked about DOC not purchasing Microsoft licenses this year. So let's talk about some more questions this month. What's going to be the conversion process for the documents to the Google programs?
So I just want to point out first that directors were originally notified of the upcoming Microsoft subscription changes late last year. As a department, we've been working and reviewing and ultimately determined that the annual subscription cost to maintain licenses for over 6,000 employees is just not fiscally responsible or reasonable, considering the significant cost that the state already makes to support our Google Workspace environment. As far as conversion goes, that'll be determined by area. Most Microsoft Word and Excel documents open just fine in Google without conversion. So there shouldn't be any extra steps for most files. If you do manage documents that will need additional conversion efforts, your areas will be responsible for those actions. All areas determine their users who would and would not retain Microsoft Office licenses. So if you think your area has a legitimate need and cannot transition from Office, communicate with your leadership. We don't like removing tools, but as you likely know, software cost inflation is far outpacing general inflation. Current estimates are that annual software costs have an annual estimated cost increase of anywhere from 8 to 25%. And all providers are switching to the subscription model rather than the single one-time purchase model for the life of the machine.
Thank you so much. Let's go back to the Deputy Director of Finance and Administration, Mitch Carsons. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yep. Let's talk about coffee roastery at the Denver Women's Facility. There's several questions here, so I'm going to read them all and you can answer them all at the same time if you don't mind. How is DOC currently marketing its coffee to vendors, local coffee shops, and to DOC staff? Is the coffee being used for DOC welcome days, events, and other initiatives? And if it's not, is there a roadmap to plan to expand the use within our local community or DOC? And how can staff members who are interested support the roastery at DW? I know that was a lot of questions. I know you can handle them.
Yeah, thank you. So CI has been working really hard on marketing. Again, a shout out to Chris Brown, who is the marketing manager in CI. He is doing a fantastic job getting the word out about the coffee. Currently, we've got our website. He is doing some fairs and shows to get the word out. We are currently really excited to be giving our coffee out to 2 different coffee locations in Denver. So Convict Coffee in Parker, and they are also expanding to DU. And then Tispresso Coffee and Boba in Pueblo, Colorado. So if you were down in Pueblo, you can receive our coffee there. We've also been able to sell to 2 different CIs in other states. So Florida has started to buy our coffee as well. Inside of DOC, we are selling coffee through Canteen for the inmates to do that. With the understanding it's starting in July 1st of next year, we will be expanding the coffee into the facilities, kitchens, and other areas across the department. So you'll be seeing coffee showing up more and more over the next year. So thank you for that question, though. It's great. And if you are interested in purchasing coffee, you can go to coloradoci.com, which is our Shopify site, and purchase our coffee at any time.
You know, I have to ask, is the Rock House ever going to come back to headquarters? I mean, we could sell it there.
Not at this time. We are not planning on reopening the cafe here at headquarters.
Thought I would pitch it. All right. Recently, we were informed that all visiting room vendor machines will be offline on non-visiting days. This move was to prevent staff from using the machines, as Canteen is unavailable to keep machines full for visiting days. These machines are providing food, drinks for our staff, especially working double shifts. So are they going to stay offline? Wouldn't it be beneficial to increase the servicing of these machines and increase the fiscal profit versus preventing staff usage?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things at play here. So Canteen does work with the vending across the department for all visitation and for inmates. And so we are statutorily limited to that at this point. There's a statute that staff, we cannot sell to staff. We would have to seek a waiver from the blind and deaf in the state of Colorado. They actually run that for staff employees. We are looking into that and what that could look like. We are limiting the time in which the machines are working to focus on visitation, because the issues we were having is that staff were using them in abundance, and then they were short for visitation, and that the machines were empty. We are currently working with the vendor to improve the filling of the machines and making sure that that can be done on a more regular basis, as well as during visitation, to make sure that those are always filled for visitation. That's just taking a little bit of time. So in the process of doing that, we need to make sure that we have enough in the machines for visitation. Canteen is working really hard right now on what our next steps are for vending going forward. We are looking at some different options across the board of how we can improve vending, both for staff and inmates and visitors into the facilities. And so we're working through a plan right now so that we can help improve that across the board, and that everybody can get what they want out of vending when they want it. So.
Thank you so much. We're going to pause in questions and let some more questions come in. If you would like to send a question into our live chat today, DOC_questions is the path you'll use to find that. But we're going to pause real quick and do a little presentation here from Michelle Johnson, Strategic Planning, and Morgan Jackson, a statistical analyst here in Offender Services. They're going to talk about a staff survey. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give a quick update on our strategic planning initiatives. One of them, we're going to be putting out a new exciting survey that has to do with uniform preferences. Just a little backstory to remind staff, back in July of 2024, we had a strategic planning event that included DOC management and other staff, where we went over our internal WIGs and came up with some concepts to develop that. And then in August of 2024, we had a DOC-wide vote on our key concepts that we would be working on for the next 3 years. A reminder, those were improving our culture, modernizing our department, and then improving our external image. And then in November of 2024, we developed a work group committee that was specifically put together by volunteers, DOC staff that volunteered for this work group, to go over those different initiatives and concepts and come up with some ideas. They worked diligently to develop lead measures to leave our department better than we found it. Ideas that were generated was this uniform preference survey. We're in the final stages of putting that together, Morgan and myself and that work group committee. We are waiting on review and approval to send it out. We want to send that out for about a month, like we did with the redundancy survey, giving some reminders about that so that staff who are not maybe out, that didn't see the email, will have time to take that survey. Once it's closed, we will analyze the data and prepare a report detailing the results. We want to try to make this a friendly competition, but we'll have more information on that when we send out the survey. And I just wanted to thank staff for their continued support on our strategic planning initiatives for the department. And then Morgan is going to talk about the survey a little bit.
So when we send out the survey, what we want to make sure we emphasize is it's more important to hear your voice and to get your responses. So we are not collecting any emails that tie directly to any of the responses that you provide. We want the survey to be anonymous. We want your open and honest feedback, especially when we're examining dress preferences, not only for yourself, but also how other staffs may feel about dress in preferences in totality. So we're going to look at your dress blues. We're going to look at our current uniform and also relaxed dress. We want to know also what are the considerations you make when choosing your work clothes. We also are investigating and examining current hair practices, piercing, gauges, footwear, and also what is your perception of how management level staff should be dressing. Additionally, we would like to know about your perceptions of respect and also how that relates to current dress practices. We want to thank you for taking the time and the opportunity to voice your concerns on dress preferences, and we are looking forward to examining the results and seeing what you had to say. So thank you ahead of time for taking the time to look at the survey and report what you feel.
Thank you so much. When did you say, I may have missed it, when did you say it's going to be coming out?
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be sending that email out.
Great. Okay. And will it be coming from one of you, or will it be coming from our communications team, or do you know?
It will be coming from me.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys for jumping on this morning.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, of course. Let's go back to the Training Academy and talk to Mr. Lindsay. Hello again.
Hello, Rebecca again, and
Hello.
hello everyone again.
Hello again. How has the Training Academy given any thought to adding mental health first aid to basic training?
You know, that's a great question, and thank you for that. As you may know, mental health first aid is extremely valuable, and it's currently being offered to staff assigned to RTPs, and a similar training has also been added to YOS. For basic training, while this course is not specifically taught, CTA over the course of the last year has added approximately 14 hours of additional training in the areas of crisis response and intervention, which fortunately shares many of the topics that the mental health first aid training emphasizes. Also, as part of the CRIT grant, we are looking at expanding that training to existing staff in the future, and we just really appreciate your desire, whoever asked this question, and interest in continuing to explore additional training opportunities for all of our staff. We'd love to hear other ideas as people have them. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's run back up to clinical services. Mr. Woodson, what efforts are being made to obtain annual COVID vaccine for our patient population?
So I am receiving updates in real time in response to this question. One of the things I like about the live chat. So the short answer is that yes, we will be providing COVID vaccines for our inmate population. As of right now, we've only received 150 doses. We're utilizing the CDPHE standing order criteria to make sure that they are passed out. That's the information I have right now. We are working on receiving additional doses of the vaccine. We'll get those out as soon as we are able to.
Thank you so much. And then let's jump back to, let's go back to HR. Mr. Ross, assuming the hiring freeze will be lifted January of 26, does the department anticipate a frenzy to hire or promote, or will there be limitations on postings pending the new budget allowance? Or do you know?
I think it's too early to tell, Rebecca, but obviously, you know, once the freeze is lifted, more information will come out from leadership on if there will be any limitations or not.
Thank you. Mr. Stansel, those were the questions that came in this morning. I'll jump back to you for closing this morning.
Okay. So in closing today, I want to read a response that came in from someone in the field. And this individual wants to give kudos to San Carlos Correctional Facility team. And I'm going to read it. I don't ordinarily read my responses, but I'm going to read this one word for what it's saying. It says, I want to give a big kudos to the team at San Carlos Correctional Facility. During my recent visit, I was genuinely impressed by the leadership, teamwork, and positive culture on display. The management team and employee council are doing an outstanding job creating an environment where staff feel valued, supported, and motivated. Their strong focus on staff recognition and engagement really stands out. It's clear that everyone takes pride in their work and is supporting one another. Keep up the great work, San Carlos. You're setting a strong example of what engaged leadership and a dedicated team can achieve. So I don't know who sent this in, but I want to thank them for taking the time to recognize staff. And I encourage others to do the same. That is what these meetings or these video chats are all about, is giving staff a voice. And you know, sometimes we get the same question over and over and over again. But the great part of that is indicating that staff are using their voice. Now, in order to keep answering questions and get to all the questions that are here, if it's a question that's been repeated several times, most of the time we'll refer you to the chat where we answered the question originally. But I just want to say that this is a great testament of staff are truly using their voice, something that hasn't always been the case in the department. And I encourage staff to continue to use it. There's so many avenues where you can use your voice, whether it's through when I give out my work cell number to, you know, personal email address, not personal, business email addresses, and this forum right here. So I continue to encourage staff to utilize that, because we can't fix things that we don't know is broken, or we can't recognize the great staff work that's happening in all the facilities, because we can't be everywhere all at the same time. So kudos to who sent this message in, and kudos to everyone that's using their voice. That's all I have, Rebecca.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone for joining us today. Our next live chat is going to be on Wednesday next month. That is Wednesday, November 12th at 11 o'clock. So we'll see you then. For all of us on the live chat, thank you for joining us today. Have a good day.